before I joined the Talent Stacker program, there's without taking names, there's this very famous MVP in Salesforce who says that you need to get 5 certifications in order to get a job. I'm not kidding you. I was already preparing for my second one. I was not motivated enough to do that. I was like, you know what? I was even second guessing myself if, Salesforce is a career path that I want to take, because I'm like, this is so much hard work. I've got to get another 5 certifications, and I need like a couple months to go through each one. And I was ready to get back into the workforce. Like I hadn't worked a full-time job for the last 10 months. I was ready to get back into the workforce. And I was like, I don't have that kind of time. So I'm like, and then I stumbled across your program, and I'm a researcher because I've been duped. I've had friends that have been duped. I research a lot prior to committing to anything. And so I researched about your program. I'm like, you know what, this can't be false. So many people can't be talking lies. And so I joined the program. It changed me 100%. Like it made me positive. The community was so supportive. Like I was more of a lurker. I wasn't out there, but I was more of a lurker. Like I would absorb so much. I would get confidence just from other community members. Like there's so many people that I follow that I haven't even reached out to them, but they've made such an impact for me. And just the modules, right? I just went through each of them, and I was like, okay, check. And then things started happening. I'm like, yes, people are landing jobs with 1 certification. I can land job with 1 certification. I've got the drive. I'm willing to put in the work that it needs. So I can do it. And then the confidence just came with it, and just the positivity of the group. People are actually wanting to uplift each other. People are actually wanting to help each other. And Salesforce is always talking about the Ohana, I know, but Salesforce is so vast. Whereas this group, we were a small enough group, but it has its own community where, we're uplifting each other. Everyone wants to help another person succeed. And you personally, I feel like what makes this program so great is that you actually want, I know when I joined, we were like 400 something, and now we're at 600 something. You actually want each one of us to succeed. I mean, I'm sure that you've got like 50, 60 messages coming each day. When I message you, I receive a response immediately, half an hour, whatever. But I receive a response almost immediately, and I feel like that's what sets your program apart from the other ones that are out there. When I started with the program, I did have a LinkedIn profile. It just wasn't strong, and I didn't know that employers paid so much emphasis to LinkedIn. I'm based out of Canada, and the market in Canada for Salesforce isn't as hot as it is in the States. So I just used all the strategies that's there in the MEMPro module, and I amped up my LinkedIn profile. I really did, and watched a ton of your videos where you do your LinkedIn reviews. That was super helpful. So I did that, and then I networked with the president of a startup company. And so it was great. And then he sent me a message back saying, you know what, we'd like to schedule an interview with you. And I'll actually introduce you to our HR, and then, you can take it forward from there. So that happened, and I had my first interview with the HR, which was scheduled for half an hour, and it went on for an hour and a half. We just totally hit it off. My background is also in human resources, so there was just so much to talk about. And then I had 2 technical interviews after that. Both those interviews went great. I didn't stumble. It just went in the flow. It was really great. So like I knew that I'd given it my all. And so when I received feedback that, I'd done great and whatnot, they sent me an offer. And this came via email. And so one of the things that I've been reading everywhere is to not just say yes to what they offer, and to negotiate. I'd never done this before, and so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try and see how it works. And so I did it, and so she actually responded to me saying, the president wants to meet you and make an offer. That's when I knew that, okay, this is happening. So I messaged him on a Thursday, and on a Friday I'm meeting with the president, and he made me an offer that I couldn't refuse. Like, they gave me what I asked for, and I'm like, yeah, sure, like whatever it is that you're giving me, I'll just take it. And so it all went from, I'm not getting this job, to here, you have this job. So it was, it just totally went in the opposite direction. So it was just incredible. And then it didn't feel real then, still doesn't feel real yet. I think not until I get that first paycheck. I used to see tons of posts where people that aren't certified were getting contacted by recruiters. And I would be like, wow, this actually happens to people. Like, how is it happening? Like, why is that not happening to me? You know, it's only natural that you think that way. And then so I would go on my LinkedIn profile and just be like, okay, what am I doing wrong? And I had a few peers in the group that actually reviewed my LinkedIn profile. So we formed a little group where we reviewed each other's LinkedIn profile. So we did all of that. But I knew that in order for me to land a job in Canada, it's always been this way. It's about, it's not what you know, it's who you know. So for me, what I did was, I knew from the get-go that my chances of landing a job would be stronger if I actually networked with people as opposed to applying for jobs. Because I know that I'm competing with folks that have 5 certifications and I've got 1. Like, I knew that. I also am aware that I didn't bring prior Salesforce experience other than the volunteer project experience, which was what I think, like, I was able to market that and I was able to stand apart. Then folks that I was competing with, like, probably like developers, you know, so I knew that I would have to up my networking game. I'm an introvert by nature. It was really difficult for me to get out of that comfort zone and actually go out there and network with people. Like, that doesn't come naturally to me. So for me, I feel like all the interviews that I have gotten so far has all been through networking. And I've applied for jobs. I'm not saying I haven't applied for jobs. I've applied for jobs. I've only gotten rejections. I'm not joking. I've applied for about 6 jobs. 3 jobs, I've already gotten rejections. And the other interviews that I've had have all been through networking. And these were all part of the hidden job market. There are so many jobs for entry-level people that are not posted. But on the other hand, I also didn't have people reaching out to me. It was me that was reaching out to people. And that's, again, because of the market. I'm situated in a country where, you know, Salesforce is still picking up. Probably 2 years down the line, it will be huge. You know, so it totally, for me, it was the market, and my strategy was that I've got to be aggressive. I can't let things to come to me. Like, I have to go after it. So that was my attitude from day one. All the companies that I spoke with, none of their jobs were posted. Like, none of them. Like, I would network with them and they'd be like, yeah, of course, we have this position that we'd like to interview you for. And I would go on their website and see if the job is posted. None of them were posted. So most of the times it was more or less someone was leaving. So they needed to fill the position and they hadn't posted the job yet. And they were being proactive and already interviewing. Some companies that I interviewed with, they were expanding in the future. And so they didn't want to reach out to recruiting companies to have them recruit for them. You know, they didn't want the recruiting companies to recruit for them. So they were, you know, like having like a pipeline of candidates. And I would just interview, you know, for those positions in the future, in the near future. And then some startups just expanding, and they wanted to add more people into their workforce. So things like that. So these were the three scenarios that I came across, at least when I was doing my interviews. Prior to joining the program, my experience with Salesforce was limited to Trailhead and Super Badges. And so limiting my confidence greatly. Like I didn't have the confidence at all. And then the volunteer project that I started, with the group, my husband is a part of it, and then we've got a couple more people in the group. It was just such an incredible learning experience. We haven't completed the project yet. We're in the last stage of documentation. But the volunteer project just helped me put all those skills that I had learned into practical use. And just knowing the fact that someone is going to be using what we're doing, that just gave us more accountability, like putting like a help text or a description, just so people are aware what we're doing or what we've done. Like it was just having that thought in the back of our head, this is a real-time project, like someone's actually going to be using it. Like that was just incredible. And for me personally, the volunteer project is what got me the job. In my technical interview, when they asked me what is your experience with automations, I was able to talk about the real example that I've actually done on the project. So apart from working with the group on the volunteer project, what I did was I created my own trailhead playground, started a new playground called the Talent Stacker Playground. I did the entire project by myself. So for me, because I needed that experience, like I needed to do that more. And because I had that experience, I was able to talk about it confidently. Like I didn't stumble. I didn't even need practice when I spoke about the experience that I had, because it was still so fresh and so new. So for me, like when they said, talk, most of my questions were around automations. And I had done, like, I was just so confident with it. Like I just spoke, like I said, we put a validation rule in place to do this, and then we built a process builder to do this. And it just flowed. I wouldn't have that confidence. Like 2.5 months I've landed a job into the program. So I wouldn't have had this confidence 2.5 months ago. Like I still have just one certificate. I still have the same number of super badges. Yes, I've done a few more trails, but I'm so much more confident today than I was, like 2.5 months back. And I also want to add that it is through the program that I even landed another volunteer opportunity with another organization, with a nonprofit organization. But when it came to my interviews, especially when they were asking for examples, some of the BA roles that I interviewed for, they were asking about user stories and requirement gathering, and all of that. I fell back on the volunteer project that Talent Stacker gave me, because it was an entire project, as opposed to my experience with a volunteer organization, which is still great. We're working on the ticketing system. So it's a little bit of this and a little bit of that, as opposed to this, which had a continuity. I had joined a program like this in the past that promised to do something, but it didn't deliver. Some of the things that they even suggested in the program was unethical. Coming from an HR background, I was so uncomfortable, like when I read some of the things, or when I heard some of the things that was said, that I just discontinued. I'm like, okay, I'm done. I'm not going to do this. And then the second thing was, I didn't know if the program would work in Canada. Yes, I'd seen success stories. Yes, I'd seen that people were landing jobs consistently, but most of those statistics came out of the States. I didn't know if it would work in Canada. The reason I joined was because I knew it wasn't a fake. Like I knew that this wasn't fake. So I reached out to so many people prior to joining the program. I reached out to people in Canada because I knew that it was a success in the States. But in Canada, there just wasn't enough statistics. So I reached out to people in Canada, and they were like, I even spoke with a few people over the phone. And nobody said it's a bad program or it's not real. Like everybody had good things to say about it. And I'm like, okay, what am I going to lose? They're going to just tell me what, if people are landing jobs in the States, I'm sure I can emulate the same thing and do that in Canada. I'm like, sure, probably wouldn't be as easy for people there, like that, but I would still be able to do it. So I did it that way for myself. I took a leap of faith. Like, I knew it wasn't fake. Like, I knew I wasn't throwing away money down the drain. Like, I knew that. For me, more than money was my time that was very important to me, because I was like, I'm ready to get back into the workforce, and I need to start earning. For people that want to join the program, like, do the free 5-day challenge. I feel like I was sold about 70% after I did the 5-day challenge, because it was so clearly laid out. Even on the 5th day, like, I can't remember if it's Jonathan or you that says, there's no shortcut. You've actually got to put in the work. This is not like a get rich scheme kind of thing. You actually have to put in the work. And you also make it explicit that this is a paid program. I just loved how honest that was. Like, that was important to me, like honesty throughout. And then I also feel like, yes, you can do this on your own. Myself, I tried doing it on my own. I wasn't motivated. I felt like I got lost a lot of the times. I felt like giving up half the time. I felt like, yes, there's this Ohana and all of, there's truly Salesforce is like a community, but it's just so vast that it's so easy for you to get overwhelmed. You just don't know in what direction to go in. When I joined Talent Stacker, like, all those emotions were gone. Yes, there was still a little bit of self-doubt, but the entire change in my perspective, like, this is doable. I didn't have that prior to joining the program. Like, I knew that joining the program, like, I changed my perspective. And even when there was a setback, like one of these jobs, they made a verbal, like 3 weeks, I think, after I joined the program, I got a verbal offer, and then they took it back. And I was so upset for like probably like a couple hours, and then I'm like, okay, what's next? As opposed to, like, if I didn't have this attitude prior to joining the program, like, I would have been like, oh no, this is the end, and things like that. So I feel like the community is just there to uplift one another. And like the interviewing modules, and Justin, oh my god, Justin, I didn't mention him at all. I'm just so thankful to Justin. He's such an amazing guy. I did a mock interview with him, and I found so much value in that. So I feel like anyone that's skeptical about joining the program, yes, you can do it on your own. You probably will take 6 months, and joining the program, you'll probably be able to do it in 2 or 3 months, just like what I've done. So I feel like if I was able to accomplish this in Canada, people will just be able to accomplish it. I'm not talking about folks in the UK, but people in the States will easily be able to accomplish this through the program. I feel like it's totally worth it. I was so skeptical about joining, so it's just been a hell of a roller coaster for me, the whole journey. So I'm so happy.